Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's story. A tale where silence weighs heavier than words, and choices carve the heart deeper than time itself. What happens when CEO Alex stands torn between collapsing businesses and the fragile thread of love? Can Tuna, a mother burdened with both gratitude and survival, truly open her heart for a new beginning? And when Adam, the man from her past, reappears, will old debts of kindness pull her back into hesitation? As the shadows grow longer, one question echoes. Will Alex's mother's bold decision to build Tuna a new home lead to a wedding? Or will the silence of unspoken emotions keep them apart forever? Every glance, every pause, every unfinished word hides a storm. Will this end in reunion or in regret? Stay until the very end, because the truth of their hearts lies not in what they say, but in what they choose. If you love these emotional, dramatic journeys, don't forget to subscribe and help us reach 1,000 followers, so we can bring you even more stories that touch the soul. The workshop lay silent. Its machines collect in dust like abandoned beasts of iron. For nearly 20 days, no timber had arrived. No sound of peeling wood echoed through the hall. The rain had come and gone, leaving only the dampness of decay and the heavy burden of wasted investment. Alex stood in the middle of it, a man caught between his pride as a builder and the reality of loss. His thoughts spiraled. He had spent so much money, even installed a scale to keep things precise, yet the silence mocked him. Each day the machines sat idle, the losses multiplied like shadows at dusk. Workers had gone home, their hands once blistered now empty of labor. Customers turned elsewhere, importing peeled wood from other places. He felt the workshop slipping away from his grasp. Should I let it go? Rent it out? He murmured to himself, pacing. The rain outside beat gently on the roof, as if nature was whispering its own advice: change or drown. Alex pulled out his phone, dialing Duong's number. His voice was steady but tinged with fatigue. He explained the situation, asked if anyone needed a space to produce. Beneath his calm tone lay the fear of admitting defeat, of letting go of something he had built with his own hands. The air was thick with uncertainty. Alex's eyes rested on the silent machines once more. They seemed to wait for his decision, their stillness pressing down on him like the weight of an unanswered question. The house was quiet when Alex returned, carrying the heaviness of his day inside. His mother sat by the wooden table, her presence calm yet commanding, like the stillness of a mountain before dawn. He spoke of John, an old friend, newly back from distant lands. John wanted to plant grapefruit, to invest in orchards, and had asked for a piece of land. Alex explained how he had already agreed, selling 5 hectares from the early ripening orchard. His voice carried both relief and hesitation, as though giving away land was not just a transaction, but a fragment of his inheritance. His mother listened carefully, her hands folded in her lap. The rhythm of her breath seemed to guide the room, anchoring his restless energy. "There is much land in our family," she finally said, her tone firm yet kind. "Helping an old friend is no loss." "It eases your burdens, Alex. You carry too much already." Her words fell like soft rain on dry soil, both soothing and unsettling. Alex nodded, though his eyes betrayed a storm within. For all his business dealings, his mother's approval still carried the weight of judgment and blessing. He mentioned the workshop again, its silence haunting him. She listened but did not interrupt, her gaze fixed on him with unspoken wisdom. In her silence, Alex felt the truth. His struggles were visible, his solitude known. Yet her steady acceptance reminded him that he was not entirely alone. Outside, the evening stretched long, the horizon tinted in fading amber. Inside, a decision had been affirmed. Some losses are necessary so that heavier burdens can be lifted. The market was closing when Tuna stepped into the fading light. Her arms filled with small bundles of food. The road was nearly empty, except for the sudden presence of Adam. His figure emerged like a memory returning to life. Steady, familiar, carrying the weight of past kindness. "Where are you going?" he asked, his voice warm yet cautious. Tuna explained she had just returned from the market, her child left in Mrs. Tang's care. Adam offered to take her there, and she hesitated, then agreed. The road to Mrs. Tang's new home stretched quietly ahead, lined with trees swaying in the evening wind. When they arrived, Mrs. Tang greeted them with gentle surprise. Her house, sturdier and safer now, had been Adam's doing. She thanked him once again, though her words carried the weariness of aching joints. Tuna stood nearby, watching the exchange, her heart stirred by gratitude, yet marked with guilt. Adam placed a small gift into Mrs. Tang's hands. "For you," he said simply. The gesture was unadorned, but it carried a tenderness that filled the dim room. Tuna lowered her eyes, uncertain of what lingered between past debts and present needs. As the evening deepened, Adam glanced at the child sleeping peacefully. He offered to take Tuna and the baby back. The ride was silent, yet heavy with unspoken emotions. For Tuna, Adam was not merely a man, he was the shadow of her past, reminding her of a time when help came like light in darkness. The night had fallen by the time Adam set the basket down at Tuna's small farm. The air smelled faintly of earth and damp wood, the kind of scent that clung to places built from survival rather than comfort. Adam's eyes traveled across the modest house, its walls uneven but standing strong. And he asked softly, "Is this yours?" Tuna shook her head, her voice barely rising. "No, someone kind allowed me to stay here. I work for them in return." Her words carried no shame, only the quiet resilience of someone accustomed to compromise. Adam stood in silence for a moment, then spoke of the past, the day he had found her, the help he had given without expectation, and the sudden way she had vanished without goodbye. Tuna's hands tightened on the basket straps, her gaze lowered. "I felt guilty, leaving without a word," she admitted, her tone breaking like thin glass. He smiled faintly, though sadness flickered in his eyes. "Anyone would have helped in that moment. You don't owe me anything." The words should have lifted her, yet they pressed heavier on her chest. Gratitude had roots, and hers bound her to him like vines to stone. For a fleeting second, she wondered if life was offering her a choice she had no strength to make. Adam stepped back, preparing to leave. "Take care of yourself," he said simply. The silence that followed was heavier than any farewell, carrying both unfinished stories and the ache of paths diverging once again. Not long after Adam's footsteps faded into the night, Alex arrived at the small farm. The sound of his voice broke the fragile stillness, steady yet carrying a quiet urgency. He asked about the man he had seen leaving. Tuna answered calmly. Adam was the one who had once helped her, the one who had arranged for Mrs. Tang's new home. Alex listened, nodding, though his expression betrayed the weight in his heart. "He is a good man," he said, but his eyes lingered with unspoken questions. The silence between them felt like a thin curtain, delicate yet dividing. He shifted the subject, looking at Tuna with concern. "You work too much, taking care of the baby, harvesting fruit, selling at the market. It will wear you down. You won't have the strength to raise your child properly." His voice softened but pressed like a quiet plea. Tuna tried to smile. "I'm used to it. Work brings a little extra money." Alex shook his head, the tension in his jaw visible. He reminded her that it had been months since he last gave her wages, promising to give more next time so she could buy milk, clothes, even save for the child's schooling. Tuna quickly refused, her tone almost trembling. "I still owe you so much, Alex. I can't take more." He met her eyes, steady, unwavering. "Don't think like that. Every job has its own purpose. Gratitude can wait. Right now, you and the baby need care more than anything else." In that moment, the room seemed smaller, their words filling it like unseen fire. Between them lay not only duty, but a tenderness neither could fully name. The night deepened, and the farm seemed quieter than ever. Alex sat with Tuna, their voices hushed as if afraid to disturb the child sleeping inside. They spoke of small dreams, repairing the roof, planting more trees, building pens for animals. Simple things, yet each word carried the warmth of hope. Alex promised, "When I have time, I'll come and help you. This place can be more than survival. It can be home." Tuna listened, her heart caught between gratitude and caution. She had lived long enough to know that promises were fragile, but there was something in Alex's voice, a steadiness, an anchor that made her want to believe. Far away in the family house, Alex's mother had been watching her son's silent struggle. She had seen the weight he carried in business, the loneliness in his choices. And now, seeing Tuna and the child, she made a decision of her own. They belonged together, she whispered to herself, as if confessing to the night. Her resolve was not only emotional but practical. She decided she would build Tuna a real house, a place wide enough for love, strong enough for storms, gentle enough for a child to grow. It would not only be a shelter but a declaration. Alex and Tuna had her blessing. The thought of a wedding, of joining lives, not just helping each other survive, hung in the air like a distant melody. Yet for Tuna, who still carried debts of gratitude and quiet fears, it was a melody she wasn't sure she was ready to sing. When Alex rose to leave, the night had already wrapped the farm in shadows. The baby slept soundly, the faint rhythm of breathing like a fragile hymn in the stillness. Tuna followed him to the doorway, her hands tightening around the edge of the wooden frame. His eyes lingered on her, full of care, yet heavy with something unsaid. "You should rest," he whispered. She nodded, though her heart felt restless. He walked away slowly, each step echoing like a measure of distance neither of them had chosen. The quiet after his departure was immense, filled only by the memory of his words and the image of his steady gaze. Inside her mind, two paths unfolded. On one stood Adam, a figure from the past, the kindness she could never repay, a shadow of gratitude binding her heart. On the other stood Alex, carrying both burden and promise, offering her not only wages but the possibility of a new beginning. And beyond them both, the voice of Alex's mother lingered, a decision already made, a house promised, a wedding envisioned. Yet Tuna's chest tightened at the thought. Could love bloom from gratitude, or was it something deeper, something still unspoken between her and Alex? Would stepping into that new house mean leaving behind the fragments of who she once was? The farm lay silent, waiting. Perhaps life's greatest turning points are not forged in grand gestures, but in quiet choices made beneath a humble roof. And as the night settled, the question remained. Was this the dawn of a marriage, or merely another passing season of hope?
Alex, một CEO đầy nghị lực, phải đối mặt với một xưởng gỗ bọt không, công việc bế tắc, gánh nặng kinh tế, trong khi Tuna, người mẹ ăn thân vừa nuôi con nhỏ, vừa lao lực kiếm tiền sống. Adam, ân nhân từng giúp cô và bà Tăng, bất ngờ trở lại, khơi dậy trong Tuna nỗi dây dứt quá khứ. Giữa lúc ấy, Alex xuất hiện mang theo những sự quan tâm chân thành, lo lắng cho sức khỏe của Tuna, hứa hỗ trợ và đồng hành. Trước sự chứng kiến của mẹ Alex, bà đã quyết định đứng ra ủng hộ xây dựng cho Tuna một ngôi nhà mới, mở ra khả năng về một đám cưới. Nhưng liệu Tuna sẽ chọn tình cảm hiện tại hay mãi mãi vướng bận ân tình xưa?